The US dollar is under attack, and very few economists or even our government seems to be paying attention. Or are they? Lately, China has been very successful in swaying other countries to use the yuan instead of the dollar. And as the sanctions against Russia continue and the war in Ukraine moves forward, this continues to startle especially the global south and has even resulted in other countries retreating back to their own currencies and in some cases even gold. British economists like former Goldman Sachs chief economist Jim O'Neill is also swaying the BRICS bloc to go ahead and challenge the dominance of the US dollar. What would happen to the United States, its people, real estate right here in the greater Boise, Idaho area and across the United States if we lost our status as the world's primary reserve currency of the world? This is a video you will want to stick around for. The answer may surprise you. See you on the other side of this quick break. Well, welcome back after that quick break, everybody. Mike Petras here with MPRE Residential, powered by NextHome Treasure Valley. And of course, if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest right here in the greater Boise, Idaho area or the Treasure Valley in itself, please feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. We'll be more than happy to discuss the perfect plan for you to be able to go and get right here to the Treasure Valley. Also, if you're looking for a little bit more information and you're looking to relocate out of state, please click in the description below, download my free relocation guide, so that way you're in the know before you decide to make the move. So first, let's go ahead and address what is happening with our status as the primary reserve currency of the world. Fact: the dollar's loss of its status accelerated last year due to the war in Ukraine and the sanctions placed against Moscow. And we are not the only ones applying the sanction pressure. Even our European partners, Australia, Japan, and so on, are trying to butt Moscow out of the globalist economy. Fact: as a result, the global world currency fell at 10 times the average pace of over the last 20 years. Fact: the dollar suffered a stunning collapse in 2022. According to some calculations, the greenback share of the official world reserve currencies fell from 73% in 2001 to 55% in 2021, and in 2022 fell to 47%. Due to the coordinated sanctions against Russia, this alerted many countries, pushing them to seek currency alternatives. Not good. To top it off, we know that the US dollar does really good when the economic speed is running at full. So, are we running at full speed? Nope, quite the opposite. As the Fed is using its very blunt sword, the federal funds rate, in order to tame inflation. And what does the federal funds rate really do? Slows down everything. So if the financial markets outside of the US are doing really well and they're really stable and we're not doing so well and we're unstable, the dollar could very well see its demise. According to the International Monetary Fund, China will actually be growing at 5.2% this year, which makes them the third largest producer in the entire world, to where the United States is only sitting at 2.9% from Q4 of 2022 in its overall GDP. And the United States is continuing to slip. As a result, China is becoming more and more aggressive and emboldened to flip countries to their currency. And along with their implementation of their digital currency, it just makes it that much easier for them to be able to go ahead and bypass the dollar's power. As sanctions continue, the war in Ukraine moves forward, and even a looming war over Taiwan seems to be on the precipice, the tensions growing between the East and the West is definitely putting a hard strain on us being the most stable currency in the world. And as a result, a lot of these countries are looking for a strong leader, and they are moving to the yuan, back to their own currencies, or even in some cases retreating back to gold. Currently, the global de-dollarization momentum that is happening is resulting and making countries like Brazil, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kenya, Asian nations, and more find themselves backing off the US dollar. In oil-rich countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia, you can now see that the petro-yuan is starting to take over the petrodollar. And all of this not to discount Russia's convergence too as well with China. As it should be noted though, there are a lot of economists out there in the world that still think that it would be almost an impossible task for China to be able to take over the US dollar as the primary reserve currency of the world. given that all it takes for the United States really to put an end to this is to lower inflation, put us back in American independent energy, and lift sanctions and end the war in Ukraine. Furthermore, the biggest limitation is that the yuan's value is managed. It isn't freely convertible to other currencies. So investors cannot be sure if capital controls would be implemented to be able to go ahead and limit them from their holdings. On the other side of things, and talking about oil, if America were to reintroduce American independent energy and be able to reintroduce oil to the world, we'd basically, in essence, crush the Chinese yuan. I definitely agree with that avenue. If only we had a president that felt that way too, right?
Come on, man.
Well, unfortunately, we don't right now, and this is the US that we happen to be living in, where the US prints money like it went out of style, has high inflation, has sanctions in place that is actually working against the best interest of the United States, and really kind of doesn't decide to participate in oil production, basically. Furthermore, and recently, this administration wants to dump another $93 trillion into a new Green New Deal in order to really destruct American energy. $93 trillion. Where do you think we got this kind of money? While that at the same time, and what we already got going on, is really kind of shifting the demand to mineral-rich countries like China for battery production. If this were to go ahead and pass, this would be the cherry on top that really leads to the destruction of the United States. And as far as the sanctions that are in place right now, in order to limit the amount of services and materials that Putin can kind of go ahead and get in order to change his behavior, is really not working, and we know this. All of this is leading to disaster. Now, will losing the reserve currency of the world status happen to the United States overnight? No. This could be some time off, and hopefully a change in leadership will be on the horizon before that happens. However, in the meantime, this is a real threat to American society, and we should start putting ourselves and preparing for the worst. So what would happen to the United States if we lost our status as the world's reserve currency? Simple, right? The US dollar would sink, interest rates would rise, and mayhem in the markets would ensue. Or would it? Well, according to some, and drawing parallels with the United Kingdom after their Suez crisis that ended the pound's dominance, that being about an actual empire disintegrating and the defense of a currency peg, which is always inherently unstable, and the US not being analogous to that in respects, losing its reserve currency really didn't stop the United Kingdom from growing and expanding as an economy, nor UK stocks from rising over the rest of the 20th century and beyond. And if the US decides to produce, it produces. Case in point, World War II. But the facts currently remain of what we're in right now. As the world suffers through inflation, recession, stagflation, the countries are looking for a leader. And the United States is losing this battle every day. Who will stand up and fix the major economic issues that the world is facing every single day? With China pushing to institute the yuan as the primary world reserve currency, a power struggle is ensuing between the East and the West. And these undertones right now are reverberating throughout the world. In 2015, China stepped up and initiated its own World Bank in order to become a major player in global economic issues. New development bank centered in Shanghai is a multi-billion-dollar investment by the BRICS nations in order to circumvent the US and the IMF. Leading countries like Britain, Australia, South Korea, and Germany signed up to join the new development bank, effectively only leaving the US and Japan on the outs. And if China goes to war with Taiwan, this would mean deep economic waves for the United States. But if China manages to usurp the United States and become the world's reserve currency, things really get bad. Virtually overnight, the US dollar would be worth the paper it is printed on. Its purchasing power, which has been slipping for some time now, would bottom out. Not to mention that all the US debt that China holds would become due, devaluing the dollar that much more. And it could cost us our gold reserves, which may be depleted much more than we think currently. It means that your paycheck that you poured 40 to 80 hours worth of your time into would basically become worth pennies instead of dollars. Affording basic necessities like food, clothing, water, shelter, etc. become obstacles, and in some cases, insurmountable problems. There is no more rainy day fun for that trip to Disneyland or even to the beach. It is grinding day in and day out just to afford a meal. Say hello post-World War I Germany. So now what would happen to your house? And what would happen to the housing markets across the entire United States? Simple. Utter disaster. Well, first off, and before we go any further, find ways to protect your home. Energy access, barterability, security, food and water are essential to prepare for just in case the US dollar becomes invaluable. But back to the answer. Whatever debt you have now will follow you into a currency reset. No matter the world reserve currency, you will still owe your mortgage, car payment, credit cards, and even college tuition. The big difference is now your dollars will now be worth pennies. It will be 2, 3, 5, 10 times harder to pay for anything, including food, water, and shelter. This would be a complete disaster for the United States as we know it. So, all of you that want to see a housing reset, well, you may just get it, but at what cost? The answer is everything until the United States finds its monetary footprint once again, which may be some time. Think you could even own a home under those circumstances? Most likely not. As the new global leader would most likely own this country, and especially our housing, for pennies on the dollar. So now, am I some sort of grand master wizard economist out there, or even a media personality? No, I'm not. I'm just actually an average everyday citizen that can read and see the writing on the wall. And do I think that you should go ahead and just kind of stop your lives and hope for the worst to end up happening here in the United States and across the globe? No, not by any means. Because we really don't have that kind of position or power to be able to make the changes minus one huge thing. And that is your right to vote. And it is our duty as American citizens to vote to maintain the structure of this country, this great country that we live in, before we lose it all. And I also say it is a great idea to prepare yourself even for a bit of the worst that could possibly happen if we do lose our status as the world reserve currency of the world. So may God bless us all, and God bless America. And I look forward to the day that this nation is revered as the greatest nation in the world once again. And of course, if you have any further questions, or you are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate right here in the greater Boise, Idaho area, better known as the Treasure Valley, please feel free to reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Would love to come up with the best strategy in order to move you right here to our wonderful area. If you're looking for any further information before you decide to make that move, please click in the description below, download my free relocation guide, so that way you're in the know before you decide to make the move. And I look forward to that day that we do speak. But before you go, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're constantly in tune with the videos that I do come up with. Also, give me a thumbs up too if you like this content. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments below, as well as what you think could happen to the United States coming up with the world reserve currency. Love to hear your thoughts on that. And I look forward to that day that we speak. God bless. Until then, until the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.